This video camera is being set up to record my grandfather. He's not really long for this world, and I get stories out of him that a lot of people don't, just because of the Marine connection. So I'm setting this up for posterity's sake, for future generations and friends and loved ones to be able to see these stories, because we won't be able to get them much longer. So there might be a break, or it might not be whatever you're all looking for, but this is my grandpa's story of stuff, and I hope you enjoy it whenever he comes back from the bathroom, that is. Which sounds like it's going to be about now. So. Dad, isn't John Prados the guy who made the third right thing? Wait a second. I've read this book before. Yeah, it is. That's where I read this one from. You have it too. Alright. This guy makes board games too. There's one called Third Reich and another one called Great Pacific War. They're really good. You want this heated back up?
Yeah, if I'm gonna use it again, yeah.
Alright. I'll get it going for you.
We'll swap some more sea stories in here.
Sounds good.
Okay, go cook it.
Yeah, I'll go stick it in the radar range for you. How long do you put this thing in the radar range for? After like a certain amount of time before 2 minutes, or?
Like when it's done, she said 100 for 2 minutes.
Right.
Why? Why would you put?
You show dominance. Huh?
Do you want some of the Clary sage? He wants grandpa, he wants the meds. The stinky stuff.
You want some of that smelly shit to rub on you again, or not?
No.
No, alright.
Where you at?
That's what he called earlier. still heating. The nuker didn't really get it the first time around, so we'll go grab it when it's done in a second, or a minute or so.
This one guy one day, we're going up a hill and we're taking out a bunker.
Mm-hmm.
Saw some bodies in there. One guy had been hit with some shrapnel and hit him like this.
Mm-hmm.
Just left a crease right through his head, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He probably didn't feel a thing.
Probably not.
Not with artillery shrapnel.
Mm-mm. That stuff moves pretty damn quick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, babe.
Okay, I'm going to bed.
Good night.
The one guy was, I don't know if they're a machine gunner or not. Had nothing to do with the machine guns, but he was, said we took some fire and everybody dove for cover, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he fell in behind a rock that was just big enough to cover him sitting up.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and no sooner he got behind that rock and a bullet hit the ground over here and
Mm-hmm.
ricocheted off down. He thought, well, he'd been there since they resupplied after the Children Reservoir debacle.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd been there, he'd seen 5 months of combat before I got there.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he saw that bullet go by and he thought, well, foot wound is a lot better than getting killed, you know.
Mhm.
So he put his foot out there. He says about that time a bullet went zipping by over here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought that in and put that foot out.
And then one hits
another
over here.
bullet goes by over here. And he said, well, he thought, well, the hell with it. He says, that guy ain't gonna shoot me, there ain't nobody going to. So
Mm-hmm.
he gave it up. Imagine he's not the only guy that thought that too and anymore, you know.
Yeah, I remember reading, I don't know what book it was. I was probably no older than 10 when I was reading this book, but it was about Korea. And it was following a Marine rifle platoon or something, and they were just marching them, and they just got into country. It was like 1952 or something like that. And they passed by like an army something, and right when they were walking by those jokers, they had a guy, he put his leg up on a stump and had his buddy swing his M1 down at it like an axe and just bust his leg right through right here to send him home.
Yeah, but the Marine, the people know that in the rear in the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't get away with that in the Marine Corps.
Well,
They'll leave you there in country until it's fixed and send you back to the front lines.
They get out of the battle, but you go to brig.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe that dude thought the brig was worth it over going back into battle.
Yeah. I had a black guy. He was in machine guns. They'd been shooting quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the machine gets you damn hot.
Yeah.
And he said that those things, they'll cook around off about every 3 or about 10 seconds or so.
Mhm.
They get that hot. Well, not always.
You put enough rounds through one of those, you get the barrel red hot.
Yeah. But anyway, this black guy, he was not too dependable a guy, everybody thought. One of those black guys that thought everybody owed him something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And said he was laying behind his gun with his hand on his trigger, and sighting down, looking for something to shoot at, I guess. He had a round cooked off, but it wasn't in the barrel. It was on top of it, underneath the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when it went off, it just, it exploded and blowed the cover up like a damn bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, all this blast went in his face. And
Mm-hmm.
they took him out on a stretcher, but he was babbling,
Mm-hmm.
He had went off the deep end.
Did you ever get hot brass, like in your uniform ever? From someone else's rifle they're firing or something, and the shell casing like lands in your uniform?
No.
Well, that sucks, I can tell you that for a fact.
They're hot.
Yeah, but there was one time, we were fighting in some town, little hamlet really, and there were a couple other dudes up on a hillside up there, and the Black Hawk that we'd rode in on was like orbiting around providing fire support with its machine guns on the side. Well, not machine guns, the miniguns, the 6-barrel spinny dude that sounds like when they fire it. Well, he was right overhead when they saw those two dudes up on the hillside open up, and it was probably only a 3-second burst, just rained about 400 shell casings down on me and a couple other guys. That shit sucked.
A lot of brass out there in those hills.
Mm-hmm. Not only was it hot though, but that shit hurt falling on top of you too.
Years later, I knew a guy who had been in the 8th Air Force in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that they were on a mission, and I guess it happened on his plane, but it wasn't him that it happened to. When they get out away from the friendly territory, they get to, trial shoot their machine guns, make sure they fire and function,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he said that planes up above in front had test fired. Of course, they were dropping their casings and clips. They were belting clips.
Yeah.
And he said one of them came down and dropped right in front of the nose blister where the plexiglass windshield was,
Mm-hmm.
and broke through, and it said it hit the bombardier in the neck. Of course, it put him out of action,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you get a Purple Heart for that or not.
Probably not, since it was.
Friendly fire.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of sucks too,
Mm-hmm. Because who expects that to happen, Just weird shit like that you can never predict always happens,
My BAR, I was kind of trying to personalize it. And they got my pocket knife out, and I curved into the front handguard,
Mm-hmm.
made of wood. and I carved in their purple shaft. A couple of weeks later, we're back in the rear area again, and they all out for inspection. So everybody cleaned their rifles, and we fell out on time. The lieutenant comes down and takes my DAR, and he didn't take it off my shoulder. He just took the weight off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Turned it, looked at it, turned it, looked at the other way. I saw that purple shaft carved into it.
Mm-hmm.
He studied a minute, and he looked up at me, and he looked back down at it, studied it. Just let it hang on the sling again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And thought I was going to get the axe right there.
Mm-hmm.
Just defacing public or military hardware,
Mm-hmm.
government property.
Only the Marine Corps would conduct an inspection like that in a war zone, you know?
Yeah, but we weren't on front line.
Yeah.
BAR too, and for inspection, the rifle, you're standing there at attention and you bring it up, you know, and you're
Mhm.
like so, and then the inspecting officer takes it,
Mm-hmm.
and looks it over. What do you want?
I was gonna go to bed,
What time is it?
9:30ish. I'm tired. You want your PJs?
Yeah, I'll change them before I go to bed.
Well, do you want to do it in here or later in your bedroom?
Well, I can do it here, and then I'll do it in here. Bring them in if you want.
Are you good with that?
Mhm.
Jeffrey can help you, Pop.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna do it in public.
He can help you get in and out of your shirt.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Mhm.
And get your shoes off. Do you want your slippers?
Yeah, that'd be good. We had a guy in, his name was Marshall also.
Mm-hmm.
Different Marshall than the one I told you about earlier. He was a machine gunner. We were going uphill 907, I think it was. That's the one where Lieutenant Cooper got gut shot out. Anyway, Marshall was laying behind his gun shooting, and I guess it just so happened that he wasn't aimed at, because they wouldn't have aimed at his ass. But that's where they hit him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave that T-shirt on him, Jeffrey.
All right.
Yeah, put him on
But
on
you
top with the rest of them
you
in
don't
mess.
have to do it now, but whenever you guys are get close to winding down.
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good.
If you need something, call me.
Okay, you gonna sleep out there tonight?
I'm heading that way right now.
Okay.
Are you done with your trade, Pop?
Yep.
Take your antibiotic. You don't have to take these other ones, but take your for your arm. If your grandmother asked, you took his key flex.
Anyway, Marshall was laying behind his gun and whap, all of a sudden there was a big splat. The bullet hit him right in the cheeks and the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Went in one side through one cheek, and came out between cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
Went out through the other cheek.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to the rear. He wasn't back long because it was all flesh wound, no
Mhm.
bones yet. Anyway,
$1 million wound.
yeah. No, it wasn't. A bone wound is $1 million wound. Was with us, or any kind of a head wound with, just a scratch. If I'd have been grazed across the forehead, I'd have got a head wound and been home.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he came back and he stayed with that outfit until I got rotated. We came back together.
Mm-hmm.
Same trucks, train and boat, ship.
Mm-hmm.
We got liberty in Japan and he got into Kobe, Japan, and he bought himself two 200 milliliter bottles of Japanese whiskey. I think it's called Torii or something like that. And but he was gonna put on a drunk, and he sure did.
Mm-hmm.
He took and he emptied one whole bottle,
Mm-hmm.
drank it all.
Mm-hmm.
Took that bottle and he threw it. It went straight up, came back down about 10 feet behind him, hit the rock street, paved with big cobblestones.
Mm-hmm.
Not long after that, he was as drunk as he wanted to get, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm rolling a man in the Marine Corps with 5 assholes.
But he took his key flex. He's got his PJs and stuff out there to change it.
He's a pretty good guy, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that bullet made a wound outside, inside, inside, and outside.
Mm-hmm.
Plus his own asshole,
Mm-hmm. I guess if you're gonna get shot, the butt's probably about the best place to have it happen, though. Not really anything important there.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't hit bone.
Yeah. Not that that's fun or anything, but
Yeah.
it's better than some places. Recovery from that probably sucks because you got to be on your stomach the whole damn time.
Yeah. I read a story about a Marine on Okinawa. Not Okinawa, Iwo Jima. He got stuck by a bayonet in the groin area. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And about that time, one of his buddies shot the Jap that did it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they couldn't. The bayonet got stuck in his body somehow,
Mm-hmm.
and the foreman put a field dressing on him and put him on a stretcher and sent him back to the ship, hospital ship.
With the bayonet still sticking out of him?
Yeah. And by that time, I guess the blood was all drying up, and that bandage was sticking to his wound.
Mm-hmm.
And so the story went that I read that it took about 4 days to wet that wound, that bandage enough to soften that blood,
Mm-hmm.
so they could unwrap it and get that wound opened up to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine you have to go to sleep with that thing sticking out of it.
Yeah, that would suck. You really don't want to roll over in your sleep that way.
Yeah. And they probably tied him down.
Probably, yeah.
My brother, when he was in the army, he was sent to Korea right after the thing started over there.
Mm-hmm.
He was with them the whole time with the Taegu perimeter,
Mm-hmm.
and all the way from there up to the Yalu River again.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Chinese came in up there, when they were throwing everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He got wounded in the scrotum. Little tiny flake of shrapnel.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that would have made another wound too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was in boot camp at the time he was in Korea. He came back to stateside. He was in the hospital up in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call that big hospital up there? Hunter? Is it Hunter?
I don't know.
When I got out of boot camp, December 23rd, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I says, go get your uniform, let's go home.
Mm-hmm.
He says, well, they haven't given me one yet. I says, can you ask for one? He says, I guess so. He says, let's go find out. And so he got a uniform. It didn't have any insignia, not his chevrons or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a uniform.
Yeah.
He went home for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
That wound, that little tiny wound, bothered him for months.
Mm-hmm. I bet. Not a good place to get wounded.
Saying that he had 3 or 4 wet dreams a night, and
Mhm.
that thing was healed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It finally subsided. The normal function thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
He was a medic in the army.
Mm-hmm. That was Hubert, right?
Yeah. I guess he got 100% disability on that. I don't know how,
Mm-hmm.
which gave him privileges to be buried in the Arlington Cemetery, and that's where he's at.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think of a good story, but I'm blanking right now. There was one time where we had our little forward operating base, top of a hill, with guard towers and everything. It was a pretty built up little base, you know. We had our sleeping area, sleeping bunkers, you know. And apparently, because I slept through the whole damn thing, we took about half an hour of mortar fire, like sporadic, intermittent. They'd drop a couple shells, wait a couple minutes, drop a couple more. I slept through the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Woke up in the morning, they were like, yeah, you slept like a baby through the whole artillery barrage. That's how hard of a sleeper I am. Someone's shooting explosives at me and I'm still passed out there in my rack.
Yeah, we used to get, when we were up at what we call Gook's Castle. Luke to Gook's Castle. About 50 yards in front of our line was a pinnacle of rock that went up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Gooks had dug out the back side of it and had dug shooting holes
Mm-hmm.
through the front side of it. Wasn't a lot of work. I guess it was kind of broken rock, so it dug out fairly easy.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, they used to snipe at us from there. Finally, we got disgusted and took that away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would bring up our own 8-inch self-propelled and lob a few shells across the valley now and then.
Mm-hmm.
It was remarkable what they could do with that. And you see some gooks coming down a ridge line and they'd lob a shell over there, and if it didn't hit right in the middle of them, why, they'd all run off the back side.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, inches, they still weren't out of range of that 8-incher.
Mm-hmm.
They load them with a delayed charge,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd either shoot to the top of the ridge or a little lower, and the thing would go clear through the ridge,
Mm-hmm.
go out into the air on the backside and explode because of the delayed charge.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would hit the front side and it would bounce up into the air a little bit and give them an air burst on the bounce or ricochet. That was fun to watch that 8-incher.
Mm-hmm.
You could damn actually see that shell going out there.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good tactic. Shoot right through the hillside. Never even would have thought of anything like that. But an airburst sure is more effective. Especially if you're shooting it right through the hillside they're hiding behind, you know?
Yeah. One of the men I knew later was in 60 mortars.
Mm-hmm.
He was a gunner. He had an FO out. And he said they told him to load up and fire an HE. So he did. And the guy says, well, you got him. He just landed right on top of his head.
Pretty good shot.
Yep.
Especially with a mortar.
60 millimeter mortar about the size of that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
The explosive part of it.
Yeah. That's a lot of explosive though when you think about it.
Yeah, it is at that.
They figured out in World War II with those things that in a pinch you could actually use a mortar round as a grenade with the fuse on the bottom of it. You hit it on the ground hard enough, you would get it going and toss the damn thing, and it'd blow up when it landed over there.
Well, the propellant charge doesn't trigger the explosive charge. It's the inertia that's starting out, you know. It's got what the mortar shell has got is there's a pin that's just where the barrel or the projectile curves off.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pin that sits there. That pin's in, you can't fire, it won't explode.
Mm-hmm.
And, but when you drop that down the tube, with the inertia of this thing stopping and then all of a sudden shoot again, we'll release that pin.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it takes a little travel to activate.
I don't know how they made it work
Because
then.
you didn't want to.
Didn't want a short round to arm.
What they would do, I've heard, they would take and hit the end of it real hard on the ground or a rock or something. And that would make that pin pop out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you just barely touch the fuse end of it, you better look out.
Mm-hmm.
They would, Once that pin is out, of course you can see that it's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can throw it and use it as a grenade.
Mm-hmm.
But you better not be too close.
No, it's a pretty big grenade.
Even a 60 millimeter mortar. The 81s work the same way.
Mm-hmm. Just a lot bigger boom.
The thing is, if you're shooting and it went through a high tree, it might explode before you got the onion out of the high tree.
Mm-hmm. That'd ruin your day.
You got an air burst on your own people.
Mm-hmm.
We walked down a ridge line one day, and he said, they halted us. Well, we're going to sleep here tonight. Get yourself a sleeping hole. Everybody started digging. I dug a hole I could stretch out in, and it was deep enough to cover my whole body, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I no sooner got that done, and I was going to my pack to get some sea rations to eat. Some mortar rounds, 82s came in from the Gooks. They hit some trees over a ways.
Mm-hmm.
Airburst in the trees. And this guy named Packard, he took a piece of shrapnel right through that bicep muscle.
Mm-hmm.
He came back later. With a flesh wound. But when that shell hit that tree, I couldn't even find my hole. All the guys around had dived into it.
Mm-hmm.
The guy at the bottom, he was the only one protected, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I was cussing them out because they stole my hole. I didn't have a place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody dug their own hole after that, you know.
Yeah.
Some of them, they just dig a little flat for the night.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't do anything.
Good idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Never really did much hole digging. The only time we ever actually had to do that was at the School of Infantry there at Camp Pendleton. We were doing some training exercise. Part of the point of it was just to dig a hole, you know, this is how you're supposed to do it. And they paired me with some dude who was like 6'7", and they told you it needed to be deep enough that only your head stuck out the top. So we dug like a half hour longer than everybody else around us.
Yeah. Most people don't do that.
No, and then, you know, half hour after we finished, the instructor comes along, all right, fill your holes back in.
They, you go out so deep you can squat down in it and
Mm-hmm.
be protected in a fetal position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had us digging by the book fighting holes.
Yeah. That's fine if you're in a nice sandy digging area.
We were in the hard ass Camp Pendleton dirt.
We never did do anything for drill at Camp Pendleton. Not digging a hole in it. Yeah, the thing is, when you're doing it there at Pendleton, you gotta fill the damn thing back out.
Yep.
In Korea, you just walked away the next day or whenever you got through it. We were talking earlier about getting medals for doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of grabbed me at the time, and a lot of other people too that knew better. But, we moved up on a hill, and there'd already been holes dug there that somebody had dug before. We just kind of reworked them a little bit to our own liking.
Mm-hmm.
And they, since I was carrying the BAR, I was stuck right next to the machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
And my shooting position to that wall was about the distance of that machine gun shooting position.
Mm-hmm.
Which shouldn't have happened. But anyway, there was just a mud berm about 2 feet thick between my hole and that hole.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently the previous people that dug it for a machine gun also.
Mm-hmm.
But they had the one hole in the gun and one for the gun crew.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I got the hole for the gun crew, and to put the machine gun in the other hole. About 11 o'clock at night, when some gook had creeped up, no, it wasn't 11, about midnight, I guess. Maybe 1 o'clock. I had done my watch, and I got out of my hole, and I walked behind their hole where the gun was.
Mm-hmm.
Damn thing. Anyway, I went to the other side, and there was this guy, we called him No Rush. His name was Norse, but it's, it's spelled like No Rush.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what everybody called him, was No Rush. He didn't like that,
But you guys didn't care.
wasn't much you could do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, wasn't about 10 minutes later when some gook had crawled up there close enough. They lobbed a grenade into that machine gun pit. Killed outright Richardson,
Mm-hmm.
machine gunner, and wounded the assistant gunner. His name was Pence. I'm pretty sure it was Pence, like our vice president,
Mm-hmm.
That poor guy laid back, and they took him back to the back and dressed his wounds. I could hear him moaning all night long,
Mm-hmm.
He was hurt bad. Anyway, everybody, all the machine gun crew blamed Norse,
Mm-hmm.
No Rush, for falling asleep. I guess he might have, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we went back to reserve area after that, and they decided to give medals to people. And they took Richardson and they made him a Navy Cross recipient.
Mm-hmm.
They marched us down to a river and they dedicated a memorial bridge to him. They put a Bailey bridge across the water.
Mm-hmm.
And when they mentioned the name Richardson receiving the Navy Cross, I kind of looked down the column to the left, and some of the guys were looking down my way, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't done a damn thing. He didn't even get his gun loaded.
Mm-hmm.
And both him and Pence died.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he died. There was no argument there. Well, the Purple Heart's supposed to be about the second highest medal you can get,
Mm-hmm.
just under Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yeah. Yeah, it supersedes just about every other one you can wear.
Yeah. No, his name wasn't Pence, it was Spencer. That was the name. Spencer. I used to know a guy named Spencer went to our church.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after he's since moved to Arizona now, but I thought later, I never have asked him if he had a family member that died in Korea.
Mm-hmm. Could have been. It does seem like it's a small world with stuff like that.
Yeah. But I did know a guy named Pence when I was in boot camp, though. And if I ever meet the vice president, I'm going to ask him for sure if he had a relative in the Korean War.
Mm-hmm. Probably be like dad or an uncle for him.
Yeah. And this was up at Camp Evans boot camp, the rifle range.
Mm-hmm.
And he had been held back because his shooting wasn't that good, so they held him back for another week, snapping in and shooting. Somebody coming in?
I don't know. I thought I heard something.
So did I. Cats sometimes play against that door in the garage.
That's probably what it was. That's what door it sounded like it came from.
Be careful when you walk out there, there might be a dead gopher laying there. They like to bring their gophers in there for security reasons.
Mm-hmm. And they're just trying to show you what they caught, too.
Yeah.
My dad was saying, this is probably about a month ago now, they got a big ass black cat who likes to hunt stuff all the time. And he jumps up in their window and just starts screaming at them until they let him in. So he did that. It's 3 in the morning or something, you know, dark. He didn't turn the light on to go let the cat in or anything. So he opens the door, cat runs inside, he goes back to bed, doesn't think nothing of it, you know. Cat jumps up on the bed and he's being all insistent about something, and they just, get out of here, you know, we're trying to sleep. So the cat gets off the bed. About 20 minutes later, gets back on, like, hey, pay attention to me, I got something for you. So my dad finally gets out of bed, like, what? Flips on the light. There's a dead rat or gopher, I don't remember, some sort of rodent on the bedroom floor right there that the cat brought inside.
I'd like to step out on that.
Yeah.
That's why a buddy of mine and I, we both bought that high standard 22 automatic pistol.
Mm-hmm.
We would drive by on canals sometime and be a muskrat.
Mm-hmm.
They dig holes in their burrow in the bank, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They dig far enough, they'll, you know, puncture through and the ditch will wash out.
Mm-hmm.
We'd come home at night, and in the afternoon, the muskrats like to be out. We'd see them swimming in the canal. They had a lot of shooting practice with those damn muskrats.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get one now and then. See anything?
Yeah. Your wife's doing something at the kitchen table in there. I remember there was one time, and it wasn't funny at the time, but looking back on it, this is funny, you know. The M203 is a grenade launcher you can sling under the barrel of a M16 or an M4, right? So one of the guys in the squad had one of those, and he didn't realize out of the box of ammo that one of the rounds in there was one of the training paint rounds. Someone had packed it wrong, so he puts 3 in his pack for we're going on a patrol. One of those 3 was the paint round, and we started taking contact from a hillside over there. We couldn't really see where it was, but so he loads up his 203, aims where he thinks it is, shoots it off, and it lands right where he's aiming. And there's just a big ass orange splat on the hillside right there from the paint round. Everyone's like, what?
Uh-huh.
We're all yelling at him like, shoot a real one, you know, because there's a dude up there popping shots off at us. We don't know if there's anybody else with him, but we're trying to discourage him, and I don't think shooting paint at him was the best way to do that. Probably scared the hell out of the guy, though.
Yeah. You know, I think that's a pretty good weapon, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I've seen pictures. It's kind of like a big revolving pistol. Got a drum about this big around.
No, not. That's different.
Oh, what am I thinking of then?
That's the big 6-shooter grenade launcher. I don't remember what its designation is, but that thing is a good weapon. But they don't give that out to just anybody. That's like a special operations kind of thing. No, the 203, it just attaches to the bottom of your rifle like normal, and you just slide it forward like a what would it be like? I don't know any really comparison to it. You just slide it forward on its rail there, and you slide the shell back in, and you cock it back, and it's ready to go. Kind of like a shotgun, but one shot. They actually make a 40 millimeter shotgun round for those too, for room clearing.
40 millimeters. Wow. That'll clear a room.
Yeah. I don't know how training round got packed into a box of war shots, though. That's whoever's in the ordnance factory messed up there, because the situation would have been a little more dire. That could have been bad, you know.
Yeah. You always thought that having something to put a grenade out farther than you can throw one would be ideal for somebody in the infantry, something that would give you more accuracy too.
Yeah.
See, all we had in those years was the M1 rifle. You had an attachment that went over the end that latched to the bayonet lug,
Mhm.
and then you put your grenade on there, and you had a special cartridge,
Mhm.
and it'd shoot out quite a ways, but there was no accuracy to it.
Mhm.
Just like throwing rocks in a pond, you know.
Mhm. Yeah. 203 shoots pretty much exactly where you want it to, as long as you know how to aim the thing. The first iteration of effective grenade launcher was the M79. You ever seen one of those?
No.
It's a basically a short barrel 40 millimeter single shot break barrel shotgun, except it fires a grenade round instead. It's probably about that long. You just crack it, slip your grenade in, boom, good to go. Same as the 203.
That sounds like something that's good to have.
Yeah, they started using that in Vietnam, and they'd give a couple out per rifle platoon, and you could just stow that like you're wearing your pack or something. Just stick it through the top right there. All you gotta do is just, and it's ready to go. You know.
Papa got water out here.
Yeah,
Your pajamas are on the end of the bed, honey.
they're right here.
Right here.
Oh, you gonna put them on?
Yeah, I'm about ready to swing into action here.
Well, you better swing into it while